Hello creative ones, this is Robin Dudley House coming to you from my studio in Los Angeles, California. I wanted to do a tutorial on some quick collage tags. They're long tags that you can use as bookmarks, and I use them mostly when I have made these accordion pages in my journals so that there's something that fills them up. So I'm going to give you the measurements, and this is an 8.5 by 5 inch journal, and the tags, I'll give you the measurements for the tags for these, but you know, obviously you can suit it to whatever your journal is. And I cut some of the cardstock out ahead of time. I just wanted to show you the papers that I'm going to be using and some of the supplies. And it's basically taking, this is vintage ephemera from France. Not all of it is, but this is right here. These are receipts, and they're from 1928, I believe. I just love the way they look. They look like a collage already. So I scanned them in my scanner. They didn't come out that great, but we're gonna make them look cool anyway. And then this is a bookmark that is actually from France. It's not old, but it's of Marie Antoinette. So those are what I used for some of the collage. So you can gather, there's all kinds of images online, you know, on Pinterest and stuff to get French receipts. These are receipts. And then also of Marie Antoinette. So these are the scans that I did. I'm going to cut these out in a minute, but they didn't come out as great. The thing is we're going to make them look like this. So it's going to kind of alter it anyway. So I'm going to show you how to do that. And I just used some cardstock from scrapbook paper that you can use that has text on it. Any text will do. This one actually does have French on it. I didn't even realize that until I cut it out. And then parchment cardstock, if you can find parchment cardstock. Vanilla color, you know, cream would work too. And then I'm gonna stamp on this just to kind of do something a little different. I'm not sure if I'm gonna use it, but it's some vintage music paper. And I'm gonna need some ink pads and some rubber stamps. I think I've told you in other films, videos, that I had a rubber stamp club at my house once a month, and had women come over, so I have tons of rubber stamps. So if you have kind of images of women, these are really old. I'm pretty sure they're not even available, but you know, you can use what you have, or you can even find some maybe at you know, Michael's or Hobby Lobby or whatever. And I just used, this is a Lynn Perella rubber stamp. This might still be available. It's from AC Ducey, but this is really old. It's probably like 20 years old. So, and this is a text stamp. Any text stamp will do. This is kind of a faux stamp, postage stamp. Another image of a woman. This one is by Create Your Own. And this is a Stampin' Up! Image of a geometric design of sorts. Black ink, brown ink, I used the Vintage Photo by Tim Holtz, and then some kind of mustard color. This is called More Mustard from Stampin' Up!, but something, you know, like an ochre, a yellow ochre would work. And then I have some of these other rubber stamps from Stampin' Up! That I might use the postage stamp. We'll see. I also use, to color in the cheeks of the two ladies here, some pastel, like a very pale pastel. This is like a pink, peachy pink color, or you can use very light blush felt tip pen. These ones are good because they're kind of dry, so they won't saturate your the cheeks so much and make them look fake. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cut out the pages here to add the collage. So what I did was I used these as a base, and then I collaged pieces onto the base. These are 2 by 8 1/4 if you want to make them the same size. So first of all, what I'm going to do, I also used a punch that is like a ticket punch. You have one of those. Sometimes it's fun to take and stamp in black on text, so I'm going to play around with that. I may or may not do that, I'm not sure. And then you'll want some kind of cleaner for your rubber stamps too. A wet wipe will do, or there's actual cleaners for rubber stamps, or just a wet sponge will work. See how cool that looks? I think I'm going to use that. I'm going to let it dry for a minute and then ink it up with some of the mustard color. And I think I will use my scissors, my postage scissors. So these have a postage blade on them, and I've had them a long time. They're from Fiskars. You might be able to find them still. There was a trend years ago of making faux postage for mixed media art, and so there was all kinds of cool art that had faux postage. So let's see how, I think I might need to cut this a little bit. So this is just really old music paper, and it's kind of fun to stamp on top of it. Let's see if that's big enough. And then when you make it look like a postage stamp, it looks even cooler. Let's see, a little crooked. And next I will cut out another one. This is this stamp. It's a nice size, and I'll cut that out with the postage scissors. We'll just do it on white. I wonder if I just did that on white initially. I think I'll do it on this parchment. Just in black. I did do a little bit of sewing on these too, so if you have a sewing machine, you might want to use that. This one, it had so much going on, I didn't even do anything. I just cut it out. It's just from the receipt. And then this one is the Marie Antoinette image. Just go ahead and cut that out. So I pretty much, when I made these originally, the paper that I'm putting on here is flush to the edges, so it's also 2 inches wide. I didn't cover it completely. I did leave a little bit of the bottom, so that's up to you. This is just almost the right size for it. And I kind of like this stamp up here, so I, when I glued it down and then I distressed it, I sewed it around it, so it kind of gave it some texture. I'll just go all the way down on that one. So that is for that. And then I was debating on whether I should use the pink one. For the other tag, because on the original one I didn't. And now I can't find it, but I'm sure it'll pop up here soon. Oh, let's see. I did this one on a darker paper, so that I think I'll use the pink one for that. The other one. Let's see. Trying to decide which I like best. So I cut it 2 inches wide, and I think I'm going to cut it down here and then cut this stamp here and glue it up here somewhere and then sew that on as well, because I like where it says my son. Okay, so we have our pieces here. I might use this Marie Antoinette one. I like the color on that because it's on the darker. It's kind of a craft paper. I initially was trying to find parchment paper, but I couldn't find it, or a parchment cardstock. So I kind of bought this, and I like it. It's pretty cool. It gives it a different, you know, antique look. So let's start with those. So here's the originals. And not sure. I'm gonna go ahead and distress this one. I'm gonna do both of them. I'll probably wind up making two in different different colors here. So we'll start with Marie Antoinette. What I do, and this is nothing new, but I just like the way it looks. So literally it's, you know, it makes it a big difference, I think, when you, oh, I cut that one a little bit short, that's okay. When you distress it, you can see the difference. I think it looks really cool. So you're going to take a little bit of the more mustard color or the yellow ochre and your sponge, and we're going to sponge around the edges and just a little bit on her. I already have some ink on here, so I'm going to go ahead and start on her gown and her face. And I'm going to do this combined with a little bit of brown ink too. And I don't do all of it, I kind of spot it. And my scanner isn't that great. I think I probably copied this at a copy store, but I didn't feel like driving over there. I don't have a copier. I have a printer, but not a really good scanner. And what this does is it kind of brings out the image a little bit more. And then I'm going to take a little bit of brown ink and then just do the edges. And then I'm going to stamp on it in a couple of areas so it looks like it's a collage. Just rubbing the sponge onto the ink pad and then transferring it to the image. So this one is kind of it's very light because of the paper. It's almost a ghost image. It doesn't really pop out that well, so I'm not sure if I'm going to use that. And then I'm going to take some brown, actually some black ink. This ink is really strong. Let's see, I'll try it. It might be a little bit too dark, but I'll start with the text stamp and stamp it onto the brown ink pad and just start stamping on here. Too much on her face. And then a postage stamp. I am going to try the black. This is where a dry stamp pad works. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp it here first and then stamp it up here. Yeah, that's better. So if you don't want it to be so saturated, stamp it one time and then another time onto the, yeah, that's a lot better. It's kind of ghosting, call it ghost stamping. So I like that, and we're going to glue this down to which one did I do it on? I think I'll do it on this one. And because I'm going to sew it, I'm not going to use I'm just going to use a little bit of glue on the center or typically you would want to use a glue stick, but yeah, you don't really want to put glue where you're going to be sewing. Even if it's dry, I just don't want to take the chance of ruining my sewing machine and getting it all gunky. So I know I'm just going to sew on the edges, so I'm just going to add a little bit of glue to the center. We'll set that to the side, and then I did add a little bit of vintage lace here, but we'll do that when I sew it. So there's one. And then this one, I have the image already cut out, and I'm also going to use this on some text. And I'm going to use the same technique with the mustard color ink pad. And just go around the edges at first, and then we're going to go in and color her cheeks, and I'll do that with the Marie Antoinette one too. Just kind of go from the outside in, and you can see I'm holding it, so I try not to do it too hard so that it squishes it and crumples it. And so when you're doing the chalk, I'm just going to make little circles, and then you can take your finger and kind of move it around a little bit. And on this one, I might make it a little bit more predominant with this pen. Yeah, I think that's what I did on the first one. And if you want to, you can color their lips in. I don't even know if this pen works on this side. This one is super dry, which is good because then you don't have to worry about, on such a tiny surface, whether it's going to saturate it. You can also color in other parts. You just have to be careful sometimes that the black ink doesn't run. And I think because I really used a lot of yellow, I'm going to do this with her cheeks. So we have those done. And I am going to glue this down, and then this rubber stamp I will stamp up here in black. I'm going to do it like right about here. And I'll ink up the edges at the end when I punch the corners. I'll do it all together with all the other tags all at once. I just use tacky glue, by the way. You can use whatever glue you want. And then these last two, I think I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to do one in this darker pinkish color. And they're just going to be glued onto the parchment cardstock. And then I'll not going to glue this one just right in the center, because I will be sewing that. I'm just sewing around the image of the stamp. Then I will be inking the edges and distressing them. I'm going to ink her up a little bit. And then I could put a little bit of blush on her cheeks too, as well. And then the last one, and then we'll ink them all up. And I think I'm going to ink this one up first because it's a little bit shorter. And then I'm going to sew them. I'm not going to show you the sewing because I would have to bring my sewing machine over here, but yeah, if you know how to sew, you know, just sew it. And like I said, the best thing to do is try not to put glue where you know you're going to be sewing. That's just my personal opinion. This is a little bit of the brown because this is a darker paper, so wanted it to stand out a little bit more. And I am going to cut this out. These my cute little scissors. And then glue that here. I think I'm just going to do this to kind of make it pop a little bit. I'm just rubbing the edges of the ink pad onto the paper. And I'm going to go back over it. And glue that down. Might be fun to put a little rose or something on there. I'm kind of liking these images here, so let's see what those look like. I like that. So we have all of these. And these are the newer ones, and they're cute. I like them. They all look good together. And this is a good formula for you to have if you wanted to make these and just follow along and use the images that you have. Like I've said before in other videos, the most time-consuming part of any kind of project is the design. Once you have the design, that's why I'm just using what I've already made here to follow along with. It's just easier, and you know, they look good. I like the way they look, and I think these would be good to have for, you know, the little accordion pockets, and you can make those, you know, with the things that you have, knowing that you already have the design in place, and now you can just make them. And if you wanted to, you could just make a bunch of them and have them ready. So I am going to take my little punch. This is from Stampin' Up. It's a ticket punch. I thought I lost it, and I found it. I was so excited when I found it. So I'm going to punch all of the ends, and then I'm going to ink everything up, and then I'm going to sew it. I do need to put one of those stickers here, and I will do that as well. It's a Tim Holtz, you know, the Tim Holtz faux Avery stickers. I love those. You know, there's certain things that you always use in your artwork. It's kind of your go-to. This paper is a little flimsy, so I might back it with some cardstock. But isn't that cute? That just makes all the difference in the world, all that, the little ticket punch, corner punch. Just kind of finishes it all off. These cute little quick collages. Quick. And now I'm going to distress them. Of course, this is totally optional. Just using the mustard color again. There's that one. I think I already did this one. Oh, you know what? I forgot to put this on the paper. That's why. Whoopsie. No wonder. Felt flimsy. Thank you so much for watching my videos. I get to indulge in playing, which I love playing with paper. It's nice to have you come along. So this is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to have 2 punches on here. That's okay. That one. And then the last one. We have all 3 of them, and I am going to go sew them, and I'll sew the ones that I want to sew, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I sewed the ones I wanted to sew. These. And I was looking at this image, and it's kind of muddy looking, so I'm just taking a white pen, these gel pens, and kind of doing a little bit of an outline where some of the images are. It's just one of the gel pens, Signo Uniball. I've been using these forever. Kind of outlining little bits here and there. I might do some in her eye. Okay, and then the Tim Holtz stickers, this is what they look like. The labels, classic label stickers, that's what they're called. I didn't use this on the original one. It was an actual rubber stamp that I rubber stamped onto paper, but I think this one will work right here, that size. The cool thing about these is they come in 4 colors, which is awesome. Pink, black, blue, and red. And they aren't shiny, so when you rubber stamp on them, they won't smear off. This is the original one. And the rubber stamp I used is one of those kinds that you can make your own words. It's a word stamp. I'm sure there's something similar to this around still. I just already lined it up to say more, and I'm going to stamp it in black. And I might stamp it on the side first to see, because sometimes there's kind of a big shadow. Let's see. Oh well. It came out kind of okay. I think I spaced them out too much, but I'm okay with that. I might put another sticker down there and do another one, but you get the drift. So, and then I'm just going to do a couple of extra things to kind of pop it out, taking the edge of the stamp pad and edging it so it makes, kind of gives it a border, a frame, the edges here. Do that to all of them. And we'll be done. And then this is one of those things where you can just cut a bunch of things out and have them ready to go, and then get your glue stick and some ink and just start gluing things down and inking them up. You don't need a whole lot of stuff to do this. I did sew a little cluster of trim here. This technique used to be called direct to paper. So it's just taking the ink pad and rubbing it against the edges. And there you go. I think that's it. And they can be used for bookmarks. You can write on the back of them, use them as little journaling cards. And I hope you enjoyed that. And I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for subscribing and all your wonderful comments. And I'll see you around.